Now a gorgeous kitchen window like this lets a ton of light in, but it also lets in, well, lets me in a little bit too. Not ideal. You probably want a window covering or some type of hanging that will give you a little bit of privacy. That would be perfect. Thanks to amazing Clearcast Plus, we can do stuff like this. We can, I don't know, make some stained glass.
This is glass-free stained glass. All you need is some silicone, amazing Clearcast Plus, and some basic crafting tools to get the job done. I'll take you through it step by step all the way to the end, but let's start by measuring out this window. Based on those measurements, I'm gonna do 2 panels, 22 inches high by about 9 3/4 inches wide. That's gonna be a good size for these windows. I'm using melamine to create these mold boxes. So accounting for the width of the melamine itself and giving myself enough height to work with, I need 4 strips that are 22 inches by 1.5 inches and 4 strips that are 11 1/4 inches by 1.5 inches.
All right, so that's our cut list. Now we need to go chop some stuff up.
Contrary to popular belief, you don't need a fancy table saw for this. Just a level for a straight edge and a circular saw will make short work of this. If you got a chop saw, that'll speed things up for sure, but it's not needed. I'll lay these out real fast, make sure my measurements are right, and then it's time to start some assembling.
4 22s, 4 11 1/4s. Now we're gonna assemble these boxes. I'm using this melamine board because I want to be able to take this somewhere else, let it dry, and keep doing projects for y'all.
I'm pre-drilling a hole in each corner where I'll screw the pieces together. That'll help us avoid splitting the wood since we're screwing actually into the end of this. It's bad news bears if you don't do this. Holding a speed square tight into the corner, drill 1 screw in each of those pilot holes and then just work your way around assembling the box. To attach these walls to the melamine base, I ran a line of hot glue on the bottom and then pressed it down for about 30 seconds while it dried. This also gives me a tight seal underneath where the silicone can't leak out.
Okay, next one. Another benefit of an amazing Clearcast Plus. Paperweight.
Just to be double secure, I ran another line of hot glue around the perimeter of the boxes. Better safe than sorry, trust me. Our boxes are done and sealed up, so let's move on to pouring some silicone. We're gonna fill each of these boxes 1/4 inch high with silicone. We'll use that silicone base to cut out our shapes and create our designs, but more on that later. I'm using 2 different silicones here so you can see a variety. The first is our high strength one. It's measured 10:1 by weight. Just mix it thoroughly till it's a consistent color and a consistent viscosity. Once we're mixed up, we'll pour that right into our box and let it set up. The second silicone is our quick set. It's also 10:1 by weight, but it has a lower tear strength. We'll take advantage of that later. We don't need to degas either of these silicones since we're not casting or using pressure of any kind. These are serving as a barrier between our colors in our beautiful design. Alright, now it's time for some creative direction here. Our homeowners wanted some simple greenery without too much color, so we can do that for sure. I grabbed these reference images from the web. There are some modern leaves that are pretty cool and trendy right now, so I'll use those to trace out my leaves, 1 for each panel. Now to add a little extra interest, I'll do some colors in the opposite corners as well. Let's do maybe some blue and then some yellow. There we go. I like that. The next day our silicone is dry and we can start transferring our design. To do that, I'm just going to hand draw directly on the silicone with a regular ballpoint pen. It works perfectly, but it does rub off pretty easily, so just be mindful of that. It's both helpful sometimes and annoying others. Once I've got the shape I like, I'll go around the shape itself and draw another line about 1/4 inch wide. That 1/4 of an inch outline we have now is going to be the barrier between our colors to start, then removed after it's cured and filled in to form that faux lead. It's going to make sense, I promise. Now, since we're replicating stained glass, that faux lead needs to be connected to itself. So I'll draw another diagonal line to connect our leaf to the corners. The beauty of doing a window hanging this way is you can do whatever design you want. Crazy curves, shapes, custom colors, even someone's name or a phrase. The design is 100% up to you. You're in control here. All right, time to get focused, y'all. We're ready to cut out the inside pieces of our design with an X-Acto knife. Just remember, we're removing the big sections and leaving the small 1/4 inch lines. Take your time, go slow, you'll do great, I promise. For this step, I do like the quick set more. It's easier to cut and cooperates really well. As for the high strength one, well, it has a higher tear strength. That means it's a little more resistant to being cut, but it still works pretty well. All our pieces are removed and you can see the outlines clearly now. There you go, see? I got a vision for where we're headed, you can trust me. Enter our new amazing Clearcast Plus epoxy with enhanced UV stability. It's measured 1:1 by volume and is mixed just like our regular amazing Clearcast. If you've never mixed epoxy before, you can check out this video here that'll show you how to get a perfect mix. Once I've got that initial batch mixed up, I'll pour a small amount into a cup and add some translucent blue for our corner pieces. Then I'll pour out another medium-sized amount for the leaf itself. To that, I'll add a couple drops of our translucent green and some translucent yellow as well. Our green on its own skews a little blue, so adding a drop or two of yellow gives you that nice forest green. I've kept a lot of the epoxy clear for those 2 large portions of our design, and that's where we're going to start our pour. You want to start by pouring the clear so that your color pores don't have anywhere to leak out to. Everywhere it would leak out is already filled up with the clear. Take your time and go slow. You want to fill each panel almost to the edge of the silicone, but not over it. Now for the color sections, the key here is filling up the leaf and corners not quite as high as you did the clear. If we fill the color sections up more, the epoxy would want to level out and push its way into the clear. That's no good, we don't want that. If you do overfill a little bit, don't panic. Just grab a plastic syringe and remove some of that epoxy. A quick torch to get rid of any air, and we're moving on to the next one. Now, regular epoxy would totally yellow if you left this in the sun, but with Amazing Clearcast Plus, you've got the best protection that will make these window hangings last a lot longer. For the second leaf, I did a slightly lighter green just by varying the amount of dyes I added, and also went with the yellow translucent on the corners. A quick overnight cure, and then we'll jump into removing the rest of the silicone. Starting with the quick set, I'll use a few tools from our spatula set and an X-Acto knife to start removing pieces. I do say pieces here because this is where the lower tear strength of the quick set causes a little more work. You can expect things to come out in chunks instead of just one clean piece. These gaps you see now, that's where we're going to fill in our faux lead. Now the HS1 came out much easier since the tear strength is higher. Remember, it was harder to cut, but easier to remove. You just have to pick your path here. For my money, I'd go with a quick set. Alright, blast it with some air to get rid of any silicone hiding around or any dust, and it's time to mix up another batch of Amazing Clearcast Plus. Color-wise for the lead, I want a flat, opaque, dark gray. So some of our opaque white in combination with just a scrape, or maybe a scrape or two, of our black will give us the color we want. Filling in these lines by pouring from a cup would be a nightmare. So we're going to use some of these plastic syringes that you can grab for cheap online to make it easier on ourselves. Using that and a paper towel for drips, just go around and fill in those lines. If you spill some, no big deal. Just wipe it up real fast and keep moving. Just like pouring our colors, you don't need to fill all the way to the top here. We just want to fill half to 2/3 of the way up our design. The remaining gap will be filled in with a top coat of clear later. A brief torch to remove the air, and then let's let it cure. The last step here is that clear coat. Clear things off again with some air, and we'll mix up our epoxy and pour that evenly, about a 1/4 inch thick over the whole thing. I also used a mixing stick to coax out any air that got maybe stuck in the nooks and crannies as well. Same goes for the other panel, and then it's a torch to remove the air and one more overnight cure before we get to see the final results. We're done, and these are ready to come out of the molds. Using a painter's tool or a putty knife, get rid of the hot glue, then unscrew the edges and use a rubber mallet to dislodge the melamine walls. This is quick, easy, and deeply satisfying. Getting our stained glass off our base is simple too. Using your painter's tool or a putty knife at the corner, just gently knock it with a rubber mallet to release that edge. You can see when it's released from the melamine by watching the air appear underneath. Now take your time, be gentle, and go around the edges releasing the paint from the board. Slow and steady wins the race. And there you have it. Our finished piece is ready for install. Using that melamine board itself as the base gives you that frosted texture behind. If you used a glossy surface, you'd end up with a crystal clear piece. We're going for beauty and privacy here, so the melamine was perfect. Now let's get back to the house for a quick and simple install. Install couldn't have been easier. I drilled out a couple of holes in the top of each pane, ran some string or fishing line through, giving myself a loop to hang them from. Using a couple of 13-pound suction cups I grabbed on Amazon, the rest of the install was a breeze.
All right, and there it is, stained glass with ACC+. It's a beautiful thing. Lets a ton of light in, a ton of color, beautiful designs, and it's private. So now you can do whatever you want. It's gonna last for as long as possible, thanks to ACC+. We'll see you next time.